Member for Wade.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Education. Minister, what plans and contingencies does the government have in place to address any teaching and support staff shortages that may arise out of the COVID vaccine school mandate that will be instituted next month?
Minister for Education.
Yes, look, I thank the member for the question, and it's a good question. It's a question, of course, that is exercising the minds of organisers, indeed the systems, public education, Catholic education, and indeed in independent schools in South Australia. We're not unique in this situation, of course, and it's a question that has confronted the states of New South Wales, Victoria, Western Australia, and indeed jurisdictions of our territories as well, which prior to the mandate that was announced yesterday in South Australian educational settings had been also announced in those jurisdictions. Different jurisdictions had different start dates when those mandates were to take place. Indeed, in some jurisdictions in the eastern states where there's been high levels of community transmission and indeed an urgent challenge to get schools open which had not been open for face-to-face learning for an extended period of time, those mandates have been in place so that teachers had to be fully vaccinated already at this stage, or certainly before the end of this year. The mandate that has been directed in South Australia takes into account the different circumstances that South Australia is in and does not propose to disrupt any staffing arrangements during the course of this school year. The 10th of December is identified as the last date on which the education workforce is expected under the direction to have had their first vaccination. That is also the last day of school. So on the 11th of December, which is the first day of the school holidays, that is when we move into a situation where people will effectively be on leave if they haven't met the direction. That will enable a second vaccine to be had before the end of this calendar year, so that come the 1st of January, several weeks before the commencement of the 2022 school year, systems, public education system, the Catholic education system, and of course independent schools will have an understanding of their workforce needs. It is anticipated, based on the experience in other jurisdictions certainly and in other departments where mandates have preceded the education mandate, that those who have identified through the survey previously that they didn't want to have a vaccination, many of those will determine that they will be vaccinated, and that will have a positive outcome obviously for their health, for their families, their communities' health, and critically the health of the school and the capacity for the disease to spread in a school or a preschool or an early learning environment. Our government has unashamedly worked hard with SA Health to keep our schools, our preschools and our early learning settings open as much as possible throughout the course of the pandemic, and we've been more successful at doing that than any other jurisdiction in Australia, more successful at doing that than almost every other jurisdiction in the world. I'm yet to have too many examples presented to me. Very few days of stay-at-home orders where online learning was the only option available, very few days over 2 years, and it's a very, very positive experience for our students. That continues to be the case. Should there be COVID community transmission in South Australia, which at some stage we expect there will be, we continue to have a very high expectation on the capacity to keep our schools, our preschools and our early learning settings open. It's critical for those children, for their well-being, for their education, for our families, for our economy, for our state, and indeed that is one of the key reasons why the Police Commissioner, acting as State Coordinator, has indicated the direction he has made.